Today, I want to do a deep dive on drafting Sultai in Final Fantasy. I'm sitting at a near all-time high of near 50% trophy rate and 70% win rate, and I've done it mostly on the back of Sultai. I'm ending up Sultai in nearly 50% of my drafts. Don't get me wrong, the format remains historically balanced, and my draft strategy remains staying open and being the last to blink when committing to an archetype. But if I had to pick a favorite archetype, it's Sultai Control. And the reason matches my draft strategy. Sultai is the most flexible archetype. You can draft blue, green, or black early, knowing that you can end up any of the three color pairs and splash your remaining color. Furthermore, it has some of the most underdrafted cards. At first I wondered if I was just getting lucky being past all the best blue, green, and black cards, but then I looked at the aggregate stats on 17 lands. Let's take a look. My favorite way to judge underdrafted cards is comparing game in hand win rate on the y-axis to average last seen at on the x-axis. You can do this in 17 lands card comparison data tool. The higher up a card is, the more it wins. The farther to the right the card is, the less early it's taken. All the cards to the upper right-hand side of this trend line are cards that are theoretically underdrafted. To keep this less noisy, we'll filter for the commons, and we'll filter for the last week of data to keep it the most recent data. Lastly, let's add labels to the cards so we can see what we're looking at. Out of the 11 underdrafted cards with at least about a 58% win rate, 8 of them are in Sultai. Let's start with blue. While white aggro decks are definitely viable in this format, if I had to choose between white aggro and blue control, I'm on the side of blue control. The format is slow enough to bide your time to win thanks to cards like Ice Magic. I'm typically looking to build a bimodal mana curve in Sultai, meaning I like a lot of cheap 3 CMC or lower cards and a lot of expensive bombs. If you'd like a deeper dive into mana curves, see our video on that in the link above or in the description below. The theory being, I'm looking to interact early to bide time, spend mana drawing cards with Combat Tutorial and Dreams of Laguna, and then have a handful of powerful 6 to 9 CMC cards, often rare bombs if I can get them. And I often am getting them because my opponents aren't getting into the decks capable of biding this time, and drawing enough cards to find and play these bombs, so later in the draft they have to pass them to me. Blue bides me time and draws me cards. Next to blue, I'm loving green. I know some drafters are calling green amongst the worst colors, and I think many of them are playing different green decks than I am. I like green mostly for Town Greeter. I don't think enough drafters appreciate its efficiency. A 2-drop, 2-for-1 that gets you a 1/1 and a land is excellent, especially in this format. In some ways, this is a 4-for-1, in that it also fills your graveyard for those synergies, and can gain you 2 life, which Sultai control decks definitely can appreciate. I think people regularly underestimate the power of a 1/1. For the same reasons cards like Witness Protection from Foundations that turn your opponent's creatures into 1/1s aren't good for you, getting a 1/1 to play isn't good for your opponent. That 1/1 can team up with other creatures and blocks to kill their creature, it can chump block to save a bunch of life, or it can later be pumped by a finisher like Esper Origins to help you win. Green also has Fenrir, Torgal, Gubu Gardener, Ignis Scientia, and even Prisha's Wanderings in a pinch to help get you lands, or ramp you into more lands to double spell, or play your big finishers. That's how I like to use green as a mana accelerant. It even has some card draw in Vanille, which I also think people underestimate. Lastly, we have black. I mostly like black for its big finishers. When we look at rares costing 6+ mana, black stands out with Arden and Primal Odin as A's. But I also like all of black's removal. Going back to our underdrafted commons, one of the winningest commons is Sephiroth's Intervention. Looking at the uncommons, we have Sidequest Hunt the Mark and Cloud of Darkness as underrated. I think some people might be equating these cards to clunky, low-performing 5-mana removal spells we often see in sets, but these are 2-for-1s and therefore are much better. We see the controlling Sleep Magic, Eject, Counterspell, and Swallowed by Leviathan underrated here. I want to shout out Sidequest Card Collection as a card I see going way too late. In these Sultai decks, I'm often drawing a ton of cards, and I love digging to what I need and discarding the rest. Doing that with a 4/4 flyer attached to it for 4 mana is great. Lastly, I want to show you my draft of my current Sultai deck, as I think it's a great example of how you get into Sultai, and especially how you build the deck. But before we do, we need to remind you to like and subscribe. It's your interactions that keep me making videos like this, so please support me with a simple button tap, and we can get on to our draft. I start with a super weak pack. I take Scorpion Sentinel as it's the most likely card to make my deck. Pick 2, I take Sidequest Card Collection. I do think this card is powerful enough for a pick 2. Pick 3, I have a hard pick between Shantoto and Torgal. Shantoto is premium in blue-red, and Torgal is more open. I end up taking Shantoto because I actually have yet to draft blue-red and wanted to. That said, I think the right pick is Torgal as it's more open. Pick 4, I'd consider Evil Reawakened or Coliseum Behemoth here, but especially since I just saw a green signal, I think Behemoth is the right pick. Pick 5, we get a second Behemoth. Pick 6, we take Dragoon's Wyvern, which is tied with Combat Tutorial for Blue's best common. Pick 7, we see Fat Chocobo, and I'm starting to think Blue-Green is our likely archetype. Pick 8, a second Fat Chocobo confirms we're going to be base green. Pick 9, a Blitzball shot. Pick 10, I'm happy to pick up a blue-black dual land, as black is trivial to splash in blue-green. Pick 11, we get a criminally late Town Greeter. Pick 12, a late Syncopate. Pick 13, a blue-green land. And on to Pack 2. We're happy to open a powerful Summon Leviathan. Pack 2, Pick 2 is my hardest pick so far. I like Side Quest card collection more than Sahagin, but not by too much. My curve is looking a little high, so I go with Sahagin here. Pick 3, a black bomb is passed my way. The only issue is that it's double pipped. But when I'm being passed Town Greeter's pick 11, and I keep seeing dual lands and card draw, splashing a double pip card is very doable. I take the Summon Primal Odin as a finisher. Pick 4, there is an X-Death, but I'm not looking to hit my splash colors early. Furthermore, I'm very interested in picking up Fixing to play my Primal Odin. I take the Town Greeter. We get a Pick 5 Side Quest card collection, which I'm happy to take here. A Pick 6 Town Greeter, I'm happy to take as many of these as I can get. Pick 7, an Ignis Scientia. Pick 8, another dual land. Pick 9, a Bard's Bow. The two uncommons aren't that great. Pick 10, a Ring of Lucy that I probably won't play, but might if I feel I need the ramp. Pick 11, a Kieran Merchant I probably won't play. Pick 12, an X-Death, which I probably will play now that I have enough fixing. Pick 13, I spec on a black-red land in case I get anything worth splashing in red, even though I'm unlikely to play it. And pick 14, I guess people don't respect Syncopate. In Pack 3, we open an Eject, which we're happy to take. Pick 2, I debated between Overkill and Stuck in Summoner's Sanctum here. I like both, but Overkill is better, and I have mana for it now, so I take the Overkill. Pick 3, I debated taking Sephiroth's Intervention, but now I have enough black that I really want to ensure fixing, and I take the Town Greeter. Pick 4, Swallowed by Leviathan is an excellent card. Here I debate between Dragoon's Wyvern and Side Quest card collection. I decide I'd rather dig to what I need, and I go with card collection. And here is why finding your lane in Pack 1 is so important. We get hooked up in Pack 3 and want to take this entire pack. But there's an Arden the Usurper here, and you better believe we're going to splash this triple-pipped bomb. Pick 7, we have so much mill that I like playing one fight on to fetch up our bombs. Pick 8, we get another Town Greeter. Pick 9, a card we won't play. Pick 10, another dual land. I debated taking Pew Pew UFO, which I like as an early blocker and late threat in this deck, but I'd rather shore up my fixing. Pick 11, a Great Sword that we might not play. Pick 12, a Blitzball shot, which we're not the deck for. Pick 13, an Adventurer's Inn, which I actually think has a rare spot in town decks that aren't too splashy, but we're not that deck. And lastly, an Ice Flan that we won't play. Now let's look at our deck. You can see a bit of the bimodal curve and a lot of 2 and 3 drops here, few 4 and 5 drops, and then a bunch of 6 to 8 drops here. I actually cut the Fat Chocobos because of this. I care more about having a lower curve and card draw to ensure we don't lose, and then using our bombs to ensure we win. We have 5 Town Greeters, which is what makes this deck tick. We can counter our opponent's mid-game. We have lots of card draw to ensure we can continue interacting with our opponent, hit our land drops, and dig to our bombs. We're playing 9 green sources to ensure we can play Town Greeters to hit other sources, 7 blue sources, which is fine due to our Town Greeters, and 5 black sources, but I'm not worried about hitting 3 of them due to the Town Greeters, Ignis Scientia, and all the card draw. I've only played 1 game with it so far, but it played out exactly as planned. It was especially fun using Arden the Usurper to bounce the entire board except Sahagin and replay my Primal Odin. That's all for today. I hope that helps clarify how to be drafting and playing Sultai in Final Fantasy, and we'll see you in the next one.